G'day fellas, welcome commanders. Today we've got a very special spotlight video for Beyond All Reason. First we'll introduce our team captains and then we'll talk about a player who has risen from 34 OS up to 50 OS in the last couple of weeks with a very special strategy. So let's get into it. Spawning in the north of the map, in the colour on the red team, our team captain, it is Clankosaurus, aka Chevrolet. And on the south side of the map in the colour blue playing, who have we got here? We've got playing as the Cortex. It's Trash Panda, who, if you've played Age of Empires 4, you may be familiar with a gentleman by the name of Recon. It is Recon who is playing right here, but this is not our highlight player today. No, our highlight player today is Papa Smurf, someone that we've had before on the channel, someone before that we've played with, and he's done incredibly well for himself over the last little bit of a patch. So today we're going to ride on board with him. I've watched about 12 of his games because I wanted to understand what he's doing. He is a tech main. He only plays the tech position, though I understand that's probably going to change now that he's hit 50 OS. Probably wants to start diversifying a little bit. So we're going to be paying very close attention to him, to his decision-making especially. That is the real key here. We're going to be looking at his build. I will just say, when it comes to his build, it's not optimized. I've gone ahead and I've optimized it, so I'll provide a link in the down below to the Discord where you can find the optimized build. But yeah, that's essentially it. So let's get into it. So he's going to start off like most players do in the tech position and just provides out that T1 constructor over to his air ally. We've got Not Real playing air, which is just very, I guess, on point. It's about what you'd expect Not Real to be playing. He's a very competent air player. I think that's his main spot, actually. He's definitely got the most hours on air. So to start off, Papa Smurf is going for a whole bunch of wins. One of the things that you'll notice is that he is not boosting out the construction bot, obviously, because he doesn't really have a whole lot of energy in the bank. Starts off with a couple of solar collectors here, throws them down. We can always reclaim these solar collectors later, so that's always something to keep in mind. But I think when it comes to this, one of the key things that I'm going to be highlighting throughout this game is the fact that to be a good tech player, it doesn't actually require that you make eco. And I know that sounds pretty straightforward, right? Like, okay, the guy with the biggest economy is surprisingly the guy that's doing well. And that's essentially what we see here with Papa Smurf. So he's got 2 constructor bots, one to his ally, one over to him, and then one Lazarus going to come and do a little bit of eating up. You can see he's going up towards the front, got some nice little clumps there that he's going to go and grab. Meanwhile, the commander, a little bit of idle time here. He's finished dropping down the wins, and we'll be looking to put down a storage very soon. We can see that he's also put down 3 con turrets. It's going to be a 4th con turret. So now we've got the energy storage coming down. So a little bit of idle time there. So normally we would see him have that e-storage up a little bit sooner, and he'll be looking to collect that early energy from his allies, because often we do get those overflows. So now we do have the second Lazarus that has arrived. He's going to start moving across the map with this. You can see him coming out to the next big pile, and then I suspect he's probably going to be looking to come back as well. Now, Commander's going to be moving forward to this position, and we are starting work on 4 construction turrets, which is quite a bit. And there's definitely an argument to be made that this is overbuilding BP, but there's definitely a method to this madness, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So we're at the 3-minute 30 mark. Now, I don't think it's actually fair to compare this to the enemy tech player, even though the enemy tech player is OS 36, quite competent. From what I've seen, I don't know if he's really prepared to the same extent as Papa Smurf has. That's probably the nicest way I could say it without saying anything worse. So we'll just go with that. He probably needs to watch a few guides for tech. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, so Papa Smurf is now going to start overbuilding a huge amount of wins. Now, when I say overbuilding, that's probably the wrong term, but he's building a lot more than what we'd normally see. Normally what we're doing is we're building like the minimum viable amount to get us to a certain goal. So for us, our goal is normally like the T2 constructor. How soon can we get a T2 constructor out? How soon can we get it to our air player? Those sorts of things. But that's not what Papa Smurf is going to be focusing on in this game. Papa Smurf's focus is actually on getting his fat boy out as soon as possible. Because one of the things that I noticed, no matter the state of the game, and you can see right here that this game is going well.
Commander,
as a tech player, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got no reason to make a fat boy just here. I can go greedy, I can get my T2 out, I can start making T2 mexes, I'm having a great time back here, but that's not the way that Papa Smurf sees it. Papa Smurf sees it very differently. He sees it as an opportunity. Well, hold on a minute, everybody's
Commander,
going evenly,
destroyed.
No one's really losing. Let's make an
Commander,
opportunity, or let's take an
self-destructed.
opportunity to potentially threaten or win one of those lanes even more. So if we take a look at his advanced bot lab, he's got one fat boy in queue. 5 minutes on the timing here, so not the fastest of timings when it comes to the T2 lab or for the bot lab, and this is largely because of the fact that he's built so much wind here. So you can see a total of 32 wind turbines, 6 energy converters, 2 solars, which I would hope that he would reclaim them. You always want to be reclaiming your solars, even at this point in the game. So ideally, as the fat boy's about to finish, is when you would be looking to reclaim these so that they can still provide you energy. One thing to note is he's only gone into 1 energy storage. In almost all of the games that I've watched him play, he goes into a 2nd energy storage. I think because he had a little bit of idle time here. Now, we have turned chat off, and you did see a big boost on the metal coming through right there. So we can't actually see the metal coming through or being donated to him, but he was just donated a nice big bulky bit of metal. But this is part of the reason why having this extra BP actually can make a bit of sense. It's specifically for when you get donated metal. So in the event that you get donated a whole bunch of metal, you can get those units out really quickly, or you can get those buildings up really quickly. In this case, we see the T2 constructor is going to be coming out. He's going to be dropping down the blueprint and then moving it over to his air player. Now, of course, this is played with the Easy Tax mod option on. Meanwhile, towards the front, everything still even. Everything's still looking great. The DMZ is obviously well and truly established. Players are undoubtedly looking to get beamers up or whatever it is that they're preferred. We've got wardens that are coming up towards the front. And so he's naturally going to take this and give this to his highest OS player, Trash Panda. So Trash Panda is going to be very happy here with this. This is naturally going to come up. Now, interestingly, he's not going to look to control this. It's going to be purely him handing it off to Trash Panda. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, we can see that he has dumped all of his metal into an advanced metal extractor. And we're going to talk a little bit about philosophy, because there's something very interesting that he does here. And I know this is probably going to upset people. In fact, it upset me, but it's one of those things where you can't really argue with results, right? Like, he has got, I'm not kidding you, an 80% win rate in like the last 2-3 weeks. Which is ridiculous, right? Like, when you see someone, and I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this video, when you see somebody go from OS 34 to OS 50, you're like, hold on a minute, what the hell happened? You know, that's not just a good run. He didn't just have a good run. We can't say he got lucky. That is way too much OS to just get lucky. So we have to understand, we have to appreciate what's really going on here. So now we've got the second T2 constructor that's come out here. So instead of going into another fat boy, he's gone for a first T2 constructor into the advanced metal extractor and then handed it off. Second T2 constructor into the advanced metal lab, and now going to hand it off, and we can see this going over into the Canyon as well. Obviously, Canyon don't do particularly well against anti-Canyon once they get their T2 up, so you want to try and get it to them a little bit earlier, but interestingly, not giving that T2 off to Trash Panda. I would have definitely been giving it to Trash Panda, but here we now see the second fat boy coming out. So he's got 2 T2 constructors out so far for his team, and 1 fat boy. This is going to be the second fat boy that's coming out. If we have a look back towards the front, we've still got the fat boy that's out here. How many kills are you on, fat boy? 14 kills. So he's doing great work. He's beginning to break through. If we check it on the other side of the map, we do have fat boys coming out for the other player on the enemy team. So keep that in mind, that it's not that fat boy matter is dead. We'll definitely say it's definitely not dead. If anything, it's I'm not going to say it's more alive than ever. It's just that it's become more obvious, right? Because with Easy Tax, especially when you don't have a teammate that is, how do I say this? If you don't have a teammate that's not making fat boys, you really notice it. I played front a couple games ago, and I tell you what, I missed not having fat boys on the front. So we've got the second fat boy that's coming up, and you can see he's queued up another advanced construction bot. Now, this is at the 9-minute mark. Now, typically, when I play Eco, one of the things I like to do, it depends whether I'm playing ARM or Core, but if I'm playing Core, I like to get like 1 T2 out, give it to air, and then make a whole bunch of Quakers, send them front, and then I like to control them, and then I kind of do a sweeping motion across the front with my Quakers, looking to do as much impact as I can, try and avoid fat boys wherever I can, and behind that, I'm handing out T2s. Now, what's interesting here is we would normally get all of our T2s out by about 9 minutes. The whole team would have T2s. And this is something that I actually messaged him about. I said, hey, so what's the deal with your T2s? Like, it doesn't seem very methodical. It seems a bit sporadic is the word that I used it. It's just kind of, you know, like there were some games that I watched of his where he's 14 minutes in and still handing out T2s. And I'm just thinking, this is really late. And one of the things that he said I'd never thought about before, he said, how many games do you think you've played where you've handed off T2 to your allies and that T2 gets handed to them? They start building up that T2 constructor, or that T2 mechs, and then because of that, all their build power, all their resources are going towards that T2 mechs, and they're not making units. And now all of a sudden,
Commander
multiply that
destroyed.
for every single player that you hand out T2 over to. And all of a sudden, you've got this big problem that nobody's really making units. And it means that if the enemy team does make units, or if the enemy team is making fat boys, there's not going to be much presence on the front. So even if you're making fat boys for your team, but you're also handing out T2s really, really quickly, there's a risk associated with that. So he thinks it's much better, and evidently the well, we have to accept that he is correct, because naturally he has risen with his OS significantly over the last couple of weeks. We would have to assume that that is probably correct. Now, another thing to note is that he is slowly building up his own base with each T2 constructor that comes out. Every T2 constructor he's bringing, he's progressively adding in his mexes, and we can see that slowly they're building up. At the moment, this is his 4th AMEX. If we take a look at how many T2 constructors are out here, excuse me, is there a way for us to... I think that's the T2 constructor. So we've got 3, 1, 2, and 3. So this is going to be the 4th one. And of course, that's the 4th mech. So every T2 constructor, he is making sure that it is also going to be building a blueprint for him as well. Now we've got another fat boy coming out. So I wish there was a counter for the fat boys, but when I say counter, I don't mean like the sniper or something. I mean like a physical number counter. So we've got 2 fat boys that are out on the front over towards this position. Short Bus has picked up 2. I know that we've got 1 that was over to Trash Panda, so I'm going to assume that there's 3 that he's put out so far, and this is going to be the 4th one, because I suspect there's no other advanced bot labs on this field. Indeed, there isn't. So it has to have been from him. So over time, one of the key things that's been working towards what he's doing is the fact that he's got these wins and these energy converters. These energy converters are doing amazingly for him, always pulling in this extra energy, any overflow from the allies. And now, one of the other key points that I will talk about, because I'll be doing another video, not on him, but just on his strategy, just with our optimizations for it. But one of the cool things I absolutely loved about it is the fact that he went for 2 butlers, and he gets these quite early. You can see them down here. He got these after his 3rd advanced construction bot was out. So after he'd made, 3 AMEXs, I think it's between like the 2nd and the 3rd, somewhere in that region, he gets these out. And their whole job is to just build win. And this is one of the issues that I often have when I'm transitioning over to my T2 AMEXs, is that I start to build up a bit of a bank of metal, and I really have quite a bit of trouble spending it. Now, of course, we try and build power to scale with that, but of course, build power requires energy, and energy gets drained if you don't have a whole lot of it. So this is incredibly smart. On top of that, he creates 2 additional butlers, which can then be used to shepherd around any additional T2 constructors. We can see now this is going to be the 6th and final advanced metal extractor. We're at the 13-minute mark, so still quite late. Fat Boy for Trash Panda, 62 kills, still alive. We've had an enemy team leave, so this is one of the lower level players, the 3rd lowest. I don't know exactly who it was. It's always hard to do it. It's this gentleman right here who has left the game.
Commander destroyed.
Unfortunately, 1 player has left, but that means there is more opportunities for Papa Smurf. Papa Smurf is now going to do something interesting. He's going to go for a sniper. Now, I also asked him about this. I said, can you explain to me what's the mindset behind going for the snipers? Because I noticed in some games you'd go for them, in some games you wouldn't. In some games you would fly them out to lanes where there was an enemy fat boy present. In some games you'd just fly it out to a random lane and did a lot of work with them. And so what's the mindset? And essentially, his thinking was, whenever I've got excessive energy, I build snipers. I was like, I respect that, right? Like, if we were to think about it, the sniper is an incredibly powerful unit, allows you to counter fat boys, Zars, allows you to counter enemy commanders. Just very, very strong. You have to have a lot of presence of mind with the unit. You have to be very aware of it, constantly making sure that it is safe and that it's not dying. As we can see right here, the sniper on the front is probably going to be dying to the starlights. He's just been handed off Mr. Short Bus, not really paying attention. You can see it got circled,
resumed.
Care. But, well, he's managed to pick it up, but this is another addition that he's made. So, throughout this game, we've seen a couple of things. Now, I don't actually think he's got his T2 constructor just yet. If we take a look and see, where's a T2 constructor? Is that one? Hold on, let's turn off player view. Not real's got one. So we'll zoom out, double click it. So there's 6 that have been handed out. So there is 1 player, 2 players that are missing it at the moment. I don't actually know who. I think it might be back here. Yeah, I think it's back here over in Canyon. The lowest player on the team, still yet to receive it. But look, they'll get them eventually. They'll get them eventually. We're at the 15-minute mark. And look, the fact that he's making units, you know what? He's got his own T2 lab, so that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, I find it very interesting how it slowly gets trickled out here. But you can see that it's done quite a bit of work here, especially in towards this position. The Fat Boys managed to do quite a bit of damage in here. But still we see Chevrolet pushing back, inevitably. Chevrolet, one of the best players in the game at the moment. 64 OS, incredibly talented player. I think only outranked by Emery. Amir? I'm not sure the best way to pronounce his name. Okay, so now we've got our transition coming through. Papa Smurf is going to be doing a transition at the 15-minute mark here, so it feels a little bit later than what we normally see. Normally we see it about like 13 minutes, 14 minutes or so. So he goes into 9, and I watch him do this every single game. He goes into 9 construction turrets. He's going to reclaim his advanced bot lab. He's going to use that metal to build 2 fusion reactors, and from there he's going to do something a little bit spicy, which is a wonderful way to finish off the game before T3. Let's just throw that out there. I'm sure you can imagine what it already might be. He's throwing down a metal storage in the back. Still got this solar. This solar is just a waste with regard to its metal. This is definitely something that you'd want to try and reclaim. Anti-nuke reminder coming in as well. We can see nobody's got anti-nuke up at the moment, so we're at the 16-minute mark. Have we had recent scouts back here? Not really. I mean, you can see there's the Cobra, or the Arbalist that's back here. So you'd be able to, you probably would have seen it. You got a couple minutes. I wouldn't be throwing it down just yet. And keep in mind, when you do throw down your anti-nuke, you always want to be throwing it on this position right here. So when you're playing on this side of the map, for the tech player, you always want to position your anti-nuke to the south of the advanced metal extractor. That way it completely, that way it completely covers in the corner over here. That's the best spot that you can put it. So now we've got the vehicle plant coming up together with the second fusion about to be dropped down. The butlers have now transitioned over from wind, simply because they don't need to be on wind anymore, and are now making a little bit of energy converters. So not going into any advanced energy converters, though I do often see him go for 2 energy converters right here, so he's going to do that here. But yes, I can say right now, we've well and truly studied everything that he does and understand exactly the type of play that he's going to go for. And now I'm going to throw down the T2 vehicle lab. Excuse me, you might hear some grinding. They're building a house next door. It's a little bit loud, so just keep that in mind. If you hear any grinding noises, that's not me. That's not me. I'm very tempted to make a joke right now, but I'm not going to do it. So we're gonna walk away from that. So now towards the front, you can see he's got a whole bunch of starlights queued up. 17 minutes into the game. If we take a look at the enemy eco player, how's he doing? He's doing the exact same thing. We see a whole bunch of starlights that are coming through here, but interestingly, no fusions. And I would say this is a massive mistake. I don't think you can be supporting starlights on no fusions. Definitely not on a whole bunch of winds. Maybe if you're on a bunch of A solars, like let's say you had 20 A solars at the back here, you could probably do it. You could get away with it. But yeah, going into the 2 fusions first definitely makes all the difference here for Papa Smurf. So realistically, that is about, like, these are the key components to what he does. So the first one is overbuilding build power. The primary purpose of that is so that in the event that you get boosted a whole bunch of metal, you're going to be able to put it into things sooner. Now, keep in mind that your T2 lab already has more metal, has more build power in Season 3. So it doesn't really make much sense, because it's like, well, you've got 600 build power here, and if you're building 4 con turrets, they're 200 each, so now you've got 1400 build power in total. Like, it's very rare that you're going to be able to spend 1400 build power that early, and 100% on the money. But the idea is that build power might potentially go into a, maybe you've just finished your T2 constructor and someone sends you 500 metal. Now you can just instantly dump that metal into your advanced metal extractor, and then you're able to move on to your next thing. That's essentially the idea. It's also a fast way to build up your economy as well. So because he opens with all 4 of the construction turrets ASAP. We see the resign vote now being thrown up by White Seraph on the enemy team, OS 50. He knows what's going to be coming. Trash Panda has done a wonderful job in holding this spot here, but of course it's been helped by that early Fat Boy. We didn't need to have that early Fat Boy out, but of course it makes all the difference when we're in this situation, in breaking that deadlock, that stalemate. Clankosaurus now going to be getting out a couple of ambassadors to try and help him on the front line. A lot of T1 units over here, though. A whole bunch of grunts looking to hold the line for the moment. Meanwhile, towards the front, the starlights beginning to push forward. We can see, unfortunately, the Juno hits. It's always really tough, and you can see he's actually calling out. This is one of the few times he does actually communicate with his allies. We need spam in this lane. Really, really, really important to say this. So that at the very least, and like maybe even start pinging people, being like, hey, can you spam? Can you do spam? You know, it's always tempting to do it yourself, but at the same time, you've got the T2 lab. You're trying to get out Starlights towards the front. You're trying to get out the other T2 units. So it's best that your build power doesn't get wasted on something like that. We can see him losing a Starlight here, but the whole idea here is that he's going to be getting out a whole bunch of Starlights and looking for an early win condition. If we check back in, it looks like we've had a reclaim of a lab and a rebuild of the lab, which is something that you often do whenever you want to build the fusion reactor. You will reclaim your lab, build the fusion, and then rebuild it. It's quite a bit of BP, but it's definitely worth doing it just because of how much metal is actually stored away in the lab. So now beginning to push up, we take a look, one final look at his base, because the game will be ending shortly here, just to get a bit of an idea on what's going to be happening. So he goes for anti-nuke above the mech, so one of the things to look out for here, if we can see it. So in this bottom left-hand corner, that right there is an edge nuke or a corner nuke. So if we take a look, yeah, you can see right there, there's a spot. So if that gets scouted, the enemy can nuke this position. And boy, oh boy, I can tell you right now, I have had games. Now, fortunately, we've got an anti-nuke that's coming up here, which will cover it. But I have had games where I found out the hard way that wasn't how you put the nuke down or the anti-nuke down. It always has to go under so that doesn't happen. But obviously, with your ally getting one, you'll be absolutely fine. Anti-nuke now going to be going up. One of the other comments that I'll make is that I feel like whenever he goes into his APHIS, so he's going to go into APHIS now, you can see it's going to be a bit of a slower transition, 4,000 metal in the bank. To me, it always feels like the APHIS comes up very slow when I'm watching his games, and he doesn't overbuild his build power. He just drains it perfectly. So here you can see he's going to drop down an additional 6 construction turrets. He doesn't build more than 3 rows as well. Like, I'm building 6 rows, and I feel like that's not enough, and he's building 3 rows, and for some reason, I don't know, his construction turrets just... They just drain a little bit better, but I don't actually know what the reason is. I think he's just probably focusing his build power a little bit more efficiently. Meanwhile, towards the front, Starlight's still able to hold this position. We can hear the air bombing raids coming through. Purple's doing a wonderful job here, and you can see Short Bus and both Trash Panda really being the standouts in this situation. He's avoided handing over... I like this, by the way, at 0%. He's avoided handing over the Fat Boys to the corners, or to the edges, and now looking to get up that first advanced fusion. We can see, like, this is not a lot of construction turrets. This is 15 construction turrets. I guess maybe because he's only doing it off 2 fusions. Like, normally I'd go up to, like, 5 fusions before I go into an APHIS, so probably that's where it's coming through. The APHIS is quite a bit more efficient than the actual fusions themselves. A lot of cans out here. Sorry, a lot of sumos out here. The sumo is actually what, in TA, the mammoth was called. So it's very hard for me to reconcile this as a sumo. But you can see quite... This is not going to work. Sumos are incredible. They buffed their health by 10%, and I tell you what, people have started making them. Not into sumo. Yeah, not into sumo. That's probably the best bet. Unfortunately, the Starlights are on the front. We've all been there, where our Starlights have been abandoned. We're busy focusing on other things. But yes, behind the scenes, so you can see, probably needs to add in a little bit more on the advanced energy converters as well. But yeah, that's essentially it. That's the way that he plays, and this has had a really, really positive effect on his rating. Obviously, OS 48 is incredible. In this game, he's OS 48. By the end of his run, he got up to OS 50 with I think about 80% win rate, 79% win rate, somewhere in that region. So he is just like, I watched 12 games of his, and he won 10 of them, and I was just like, this is incredible. And the weirdest part was, I watched him and I couldn't work out what he was doing. I'm like, there's nothing special in here. There's nothing that's really interesting, but there's one specific skill that I could see in all of his games above the rest. And we're just gonna mute Bar right now, because like we're saving the secret to the very end of the video right here. The secret skill that he's got, and this is something that you won't be able to pick up easily. It's going to take time for you to actually do it, as we've got all these flashing lights. Excuse me. Give me a sec here. Let's pause it for a second. Actually, do I have the pause option? Yeah, I do. Okay, so yeah, essentially the point that I wanted to make is that there's no secret optimized build. There's no secret strategy. He's not taking a 7th mex. He's not asking for any metal. There's no commie that's going on. There's only one skill that's actually in here, and that is the presence of mind to recognize with high precision, I will say, when a lane is potentially going to fall and making sure that you've got units there to cover that lane. One of the most common ways that lanes get lost on glitters is that tech doesn't give them the backup when they need it. Now, that can be hard. I've played many games where you've got this lane that's losing, you've got this lane that's losing, you've also got a push coming in from here, and you can't be everywhere at once. And those are the games that he actually lost. The games that he won were games like this, where he recognizes, hey, Captain Kaki's a little bit far up here. We gotta make sure that we stop this bleeding before it gets any more serious. So that's where the fat boy goes, and it goes there quickly. And he's constantly on the watch, making sure that he sees everything that's going on the map. He is hyper-focused, hyper-fixated on the front to see where do I need to put my fat boy. And that's the key. There's no real other component to it. There's no super-duper greedy play or rushing all the T2s up. It's just literally that. Where do I need to put fat boys, and how soon do I need to put it down? Anyway, we're going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Shout out to Papa Smurf. He's an absolute G. Very talented player, obviously doing well, climbing up to 50 OS in the tech position. Yeah, I'll leave a link down in the description to where you can see our discussion a little bit more. And we'll catch you in the next one.